Welcome to this course on Hijack Awareness. We hope you enjoy the course and obviously hope you take something away from it on just how to prevent and keep yourself safe. So we're going to break this down into 6 sections. So hijacking, just to give you an introduction, we're going to talk about the actual hijacker, the people that actually commit the crimes, modus operandi, as in how do these guys work? What do they do? The times and places that you'll be vulnerable. Very important. Preventative measures, how to try avoid being hijacked. And then the last one, what happens if you are hijacked? What should you do? So let's go into a little bit of details about hijacking, give you a little bit of background to it. So in South Africa today, hijacking is on the rise. People are being hijacked every single day across the country, and unfortunately KZN is actually very high in hijackings at the moment. In fact, in South Africa, we have had a 38% increase year on year from last year. So hijacking has become quite a menace in society at the moment. And besides putting up signs warning people about hotspots, there's actually very little that officials are doing to curb the hijacking pandemic. So let's just learn a little bit more about the hijackers, because they're not like normal criminals that are out in society. So the large proportion, 98% of them are male. And this is where things start getting a little bit different. Normally, criminals are young in South Africa, relatively. Hijackers tend to be between the ages of 26 and 29. And unlike your average criminal, they tend to have a higher education level as well. So 67% of them have been educated between grades 10 and 12. So this means that they're mature, they're educated, and they're a lot more professional than your average criminal. And we'll find out why when we go through the modus operandi. So, close to 50% of hijackings are committed by syndicates. These syndicates are made up of bosses, underbosses who control areas. You then have the hijackers reporting to the underbosses, and finally you have your spotters. And what happens is the bosses receive orders for vehicles or parts for vehicles. They pass these on to the underbosses in different areas. This is passed on to the hijackers, and the spotters are sent out to have a look for those vehicles. So it's amazing, 57% of hijackings are well planned before the actual event. This means that what happens is the spotters have found the vehicle that they're going to be interested in, pass those details on to the hijacker, and they have then carefully watched your home, your business, and your habits to plan exactly how they were going to hijack you. Now, unfortunately, 96% of hijackers are armed, which makes the hijacking extremely dangerous. Now, hijackers prefer hijacking single occupants in vehicles. So 50% of vehicles that are hijacked have only got one occupant. Now, to give you an idea of how professional these guys are, they will commit 24 hijackings on average before actually being caught, which is very, very scary. So let's move on to the next section, times and places. Now, we've all seen hijacking hotspot signs on the side of the road, or at robots, or freeway off-ramps. So the general impression is that the majority of hijackings would take place on the road or at intersections. So where do you think the most hijackings take place? The vast majority of people say at robots or stop streets, because that's what they've heard, that's where they've seen the signs. This is, however, not the case. The vast majority of hijackings take place outside your home. And the reason for this is, we've actually discussed it previously, 57% of hijackings are very carefully planned. And it's a lot easier to plan a hijacking at a person's home where you know when they're at home, when they're not, if they've got dogs, etc., etc. So, what times would be more likely to be hijacked? So if you have a look at the graph over here, you can see that early in the morning, not that good, but late in the afternoon and early evening is when the vast majority of hijackings occur. And you're much more likely to be hijacked on a Friday. People coming home during the evening, and especially on a Friday, are less vigilant. They're tired after a long week of work. Now that we know all about the hijackers and how they work, let's start looking at preventative measures. The first is ensure that anyone leaving your property can get into their vehicle, start it, lock the doors, and be fully prepared to drive off before the gates are opened. Also, try and make sure that your guests don't have to reverse out into the road, because they are concentrating on driving and not what lies outside the gate. Ensure that your gate and driveway are well lit after dark. It works as a good deterrent. Consider installing electrical operated gates. But the most important thing is be vigilant. Be aware of strangers that are in your area, people that are just hanging around, and especially if you see them on more than one occasion. The chances are they're either a spotter or a hijacker that is currently planning on hijacking you. Now, what do we do in traffic? Because yes, the vast majority of people are hijacked at home, but people are hijacked in traffic as well. And the biggest thing that you can look at is your stopping distance. So what is your stopping distance? What you need to do is, when you stopped at a robot or a stop street, make sure that you can see the rear tires of the vehicle in front of you. This means that you've got enough space. If you see anyone suspicious approaching your vehicle, there's enough space that you can turn your car full lock, put it into first, and get out of the situation before the hijacker actually gets to your vehicle. But most importantly, be vigilant. Hijackers are a lot less prone to approach or hijack a vehicle if the occupant is looking around, is vigilant, checking the mirrors, and ensuring that they are safe. So let's move on to the final section. And hopefully you don't have to do this, but what happens if you are hijacked? What do you do? How do you react? And what are your chances of actually getting out of the situation unharmed? Well, there's good news and there's bad news. So the bad news, as we've previously learned, is that 96% of hijackers are armed, the vast majority with handguns. And here's where the good news comes in. Only 1% of hijack victims are actually killed. Or putting a positive spin on it, 99% of hijack victims survive the hijacking. And this is because 100% of all hijackers agree that you should submit immediately. Because 100% of hijackers focus on their own safety first, and will act or shoot if there's even a remote chance that they would be harmed. So any person that puts up a fight, argues or resists stands a good chance of being harmed or shot. And for the last bit on this section, hijackers don't actually want to kill or shoot the occupants of a vehicle they're hijacking, for a number of reasons. Number one, they don't want bullet holes or anything in the vehicle. They're going to have to sell it after the fact. The second is, if they do kill someone, the crime is now escalated up to murder, and murder will attract a lot more attention from the police than a hijacking will, and they understand this. So at the end of the day, they don't actually want to harm you. They just want your vehicle. So give it to them. So let's just go through the actions of how we should handle a hijack situation. The first and most important is place both hands on the steering wheel so that they can be visible at all times while you're dealing with the hijacker. The second, communicate with the hijacker. Never look them in the eye, but as soon as they approach the vehicle, put your hands on the steering wheel and let them know that you're not going to put up a fight and they can take the vehicle. This automatically places the hijacker at a lower stress level. And going forward, ask for permission for everything that you're going to do. So in other words, the first thing you're going to say to them is, I'm going to give you my car with no problems. I'm not going to fight for it. However, I have my seatbelt on. Can I take it off? Or can I exit the vehicle? Doing this ensures that the hijacker knows exactly what you're going to do and will not be frightened by any sudden movements you make. In fact, a lot of people have been shot because they want to get out of the vehicle, they reach over to their seatbelt, and when they unclick it, just that clicking sound sounds like someone cocking a weapon. And the driver, unfortunately, gets shot by mistake. So, make sure that you communicate with the hijackers and never make eye contact. The vast majority of hijackers will actually open the vehicle's door for you to exit. As soon as you've exited, do not put your hands up in the air. It looks like you're trying to attract attention. Keep your hands low or in front of you, palms up so that they can see you have nothing in your hands. The hijackers will then want to search you for your cell phone, wallet, etc., etc. They will also ask you if the vehicle has a tracking device. Be 100% honest with the hijackers. Don't lie about anything. So at the end of the day, you've now exited the vehicle, you haven't put up a fuss, and the hijackers have what they want. They have your vehicle. At this point, if you've done everything correctly, they will get into the vehicle and leave, leaving you on the side of the road. Yes, without cell phone, without wallet and that, but they will leave you on the side of the road alive. So thanks for watching the video. We hope that you've learned something and found the video informative at the very least. So yeah, thanks for watching, and just remember, be vigilant, be safe. Thanks.